Awesome. Hey everybody, it's Jenny here. Welcome to just a cool little occurrence that we have going on. This isn't an official team webinar. It's just a really cool opportunity that we have to hear from Jayme Thompson. So I'm actually going to turn over to her here in a moment and let her introduce herself. But for those of you who aren't familiar, she is what, an 11-star? You 11-star? 11-star diamond coach from Lagodi, Indiana.
Good job.
Yes, former school teacher turned full-time Beachbody coach. Her husband is still teaching and coaching, if I might add. But I'm going to let her. She's a family woman. I think I've heard her refer to herself before as a hot mess. So I think I'm okay to say that. But I can't wait. I've really gotten to know Jayme better over the last year or so. We've been on the Market Council together here in Indiana. So I've been afforded the opportunity to get to know her and her amazing personality. And I'm just so glad that she's able to hop on here and tell us about her story with Beachbody and answer some questions that you guys have wanted to ask. So with that, Jayme, I will let you introduce yourself.
Sure. All right. Thank you, Jenny, for having me come on. And yes, you totally nailed the whole hot mess. As you can see, I'm sitting in my floor in my bedroom because my little guy stayed home with me today. Even though I had this scheduled, I couldn't dare take him. So my intern is watching her and my cleaning ladies are all over my house. So I'm like trying to find a quiet spot. I told her I'm surprised I'm not in the bathroom. So anyway, so yes, that's me. I'm a mom of 3, 12, 8, and 2. I was a 3rd grade teacher for 9 years, and I found Beachbody 5.5 years ago. It was just after I had my second son, and I gained 70 with my first, 65 with my second. And I was up late at night, infomercial, and I see the infomercial for Turbo Jam. So that's where my start of even, coming into anything with Beachbody. That was 2007. It wasn't until 3 years later that I, finally made a change, or I finally was like, I need to do something. And my husband had ordered P90X, and it was sitting on the table, and he hadn't opened it yet. And I did, and I started it. And it was funny because that all happened at the same time. I was on a Turbo Jam page. I was kind of new to Facebook. And that's where I met my coach, Carolyn, who's under Janelle. And so that's how the whole coaching came in. I went and got certified by Julie the week after I signed up as a coach. So it was the first time I ever heard anybody even say anything about coaching. It was all very strange. So for the first 2 years of being a coach, I was still teaching. I started teaching classes, and I was just really kind of focused on me and my, taking care of me and kind of creating my transformation, because that definitely is what I had to do. Plus, I had no clue what I was supposed to be doing as a coach, really. I was like the girl who would post on Facebook, here's my link, come order Turbo Jam. Yeah, I did that. So I had no clue. I mean, I just really, really did it. I mean, back then there was no training. I would hop on, Janelle would do these calls, and I'd freak out because she was really on the phone, talking. And I was like, what am I supposed to be saying? Yeah, it was just, I had no clue for a really long time. It wasn't until I went on the first Success Club trip to the Bahamas, and I didn't even know how I earned it. My coach is like, you just need a few more points and you could go to the Bahamas. And I'm like, I don't even know what you're talking about. So yeah, so a lot of that happened for me. Me being where I am just kind of happened because I just was kind of doing. I wasn't really trying at that point. It wasn't until after I saw the big picture. I went to the Bahamas. I see all of these coaches that I'd been, following forever. And I realized they're just normal, regular people, just like me. They were there with, some of their kids. And I'm like, how awesome is that? They have their kids here. And, just seeing that. Then I went to my first summit. And that definitely just continued, just realizing the big picture and that I could be doing so much more. I need to really dive into this and start figuring it out. Plus, we met our really good friends, Corey Miller, and she definitely opened my eyes. She had been in the business, for a few years before I started. So she really helped me really see what I could be doing. So we come back from Summit, and I find out that I'm pregnant with baby number 3. So that was kind of my moment of realizing, okay, I have this awesome opportunity to help other moms know that they can have a healthy pregnancy, because I'd never had one. My first two were not healthy pregnancies at all. And I didn't have Shakeology in my life. I didn't know how to eat. I was not working out with both of those. So I said, this is it. I'm going to have the healthiest pregnancy I can have, and I'm going to share it. So that was like the first time I really started putting myself out there. And that's when I really created my following, was during that pregnancy. So I just continued it. I just continued to share it after I had him, and shared my journey back after having him. And that's really where the whole following definitely started for me. As far as the business part came, I definitely started plugging into anything I could get my hands on. Anything I could do, I was doing it. And it was the next summit that I went to after I had Griffin, and he was 3 months old. And that was the summit that we had to write on the note cards, the postcards with you remember doing that? And I said on there, I will not be going back to teaching. I want to be a full-time coach. And I made that happen. So that was like my moment. I was just like, this is what I want to do. So anything I could possibly do to help myself get there, I started doing.
Yeah.
That's kind of my story, where I am now.
Yeah. So tell us, that spans a significant amount of time, but tell us maybe what your day looked like when you were teaching and trying, working toward making this full time, and then how that's sort of changed since then.
Absolutely. So I definitely had to be very scheduled with 3 kids and a husband who was very busy himself and not home. And I was teaching classes too. And my daughter was older and she was starting to be busy. I knew in order to not take away from them, I had to do things that happened once they were in bed, or I had to get up early. So that really started for me, that I had to get up in the mornings, do my workout then, because if I left it to do after school, that was not going to happen, or it'd be 10:30 at night. And I did do that many times. So I was either up early doing that, and then I just had to be very focused on the things I needed to do that I could not do. I mean, as a teacher, you're not on your phone. You're not on your computer. So any calls or anything I missed, I would usually listen to those while I was getting ready. But most of the time, I would make sure I had all my posts and everything I needed in my groups. I would do that before school. I would, go through my messages and schedule back. That was before I was really plugged into the whole power of 3. I really wish I would have had that in my hands then. That would have made my life so much easier. But, that was just kind of my own little system of just doing my messaging that I was doing. I would spend usually my prep time. I got to where I was not going in the teacher's lounge anymore. Once I set that goal of, I do not want to be a teacher anymore. I want to be that mom that's home with her kids after school and not stressed and tired. I got rid of those things. I didn't watch TV anymore. I, didn't go and hang out in the teacher's lounge. Plus, they usually had donuts in there. So I wasn't going in there. And so I would usually be grading papers, listening to a call, and do some quick messaging before, my kids came back in my room. I also used Hootsuite to schedule a post during the day, because obviously I wasn't allowed to be posting while I was at school. So I don't know, with some teachers, you may have to make sure, get the okay that they know that's not you on their posting. I informed my, school of what exactly that was. So I just kept very on my schedule of posting. Even though I was gone and at work all day long, I always did my morning post before I went to work. I had my scheduled post during the day, and then I would do my post after school, evening, and that was usually nothing health and fitness. That was usually something family, something, just going on in my life. And then, I always did my evening post. I just stayed very consistent with that. And doing that helped me continue to build my business, even though I was super duper crazy busy. And, that's the big thing. It's just being consistent and just doing it day in and day out and not making excuses about it. It's basically like your workouts. Totally. But yeah, that was usually my schedule. Now my evenings were totally, once kids went to bed, my husband was totally on board. He knew what I wanted. And so thank goodness he was there to help me and support me. But, I did put in a lot of hours, after the kids went to bed. Sometimes it was 1:00 before I went to bed, but I look at it now, I don't regret doing that for 1 second, because now if I want to go take a nap, I can. So if I want to sleep, I can.
Yeah.
I still don't, but
when it's not take your kid to daycare, you just don't take your kid to daycare.
I know. Yeah. He didn't want to go, and I'm like, okay, I don't have to. So yeah.
Yeah. So tell us what your day looks like now.
That is really funny, because Erin Young, I remember before she was done, with her teaching job, she was like, okay, so like, what does your day go to? And I will be honest, once I had like a whole day, I panicked, because I was like, I don't know. I'm so used to my teaching schedule. I know what I'm doing from this to this. So when I had all day, it took me a while to get into a routine where I didn't feel like I was working all day. You're so used to working all day to go into where you really don't have to work all day with this. And I kept feeling like I needed to, which can totally burn you out and can overwhelm you and make you feel like you're doing way too much, which I was. So I definitely had to get myself to a schedule. So I had to start totally putting myself on, from this time to this time, you're doing this. So setting my timer, 45 minutes of doing my power 3. Then I would do like make sure I had everything on my power hour done. I'm sure you guys know what all those are. But just sticking to it, getting up and making sure I did my personal development and still doing my workouts as early in the day as I could, so that when I did get my kids after school, I was mom and I wasn't doing any of that. That's what I wanted. That's what I worked so hard to get to do. So I wanted to make sure that part was done. And then, my evenings now are usually, calls or a Zoom or something. And I really cut back on those a lot too, just because you can get kind of burnt out on doing I could do one every night if I let myself. Mm-hmm. And I was, talking to other coaches, and they're like, you don't need to do that many, you can, like you're doing today, like record them, during the day, do it on your time. And I'm like, that's exactly the way you've got to do. You got to definitely take control of, it's, you designed what you want. So you've got to stick to that. Right. So
I think I've seen you guys have been a lot of places. Seems like you're somewhere different every week. Like you were in a cabin with your team, right? You did like a retreat. Was that the first time you did that?
That was, awesome. And it was awesome. Yes. So yeah, they're already asking when our next one is.
Yeah, it looked amazing.
It was fun. We had a really good time.
Yeah, and then you I feel like you've been everywhere between like Cancun in the spring and then Summit and everything else. I know I feel like that. I feel like 2015 is already gone.
Yeah. But, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay, well, I want to ask you some questions from my team.
Sure.
So I'm going to read them verbatim from what they sent me. Okay, so the first one is, and like I said to you before, I'm sharing this with my Emeralds and my Diamond coaches.
Right.
He says, how do you know when to make the transition to full-time coaching? Then she says, I struggle with knowing if having more time to build my business is ideal, or if I need to build it to a secure level before I transition. I know what I would say, but I'll let you.
Well, whenever I made the decision, I could have made the decision a long time ago, but obviously financially, I needed to make sure that was legit. So obviously I sat down with my husband and we definitely, went through the numbers, and I'll never forget when I started seeing that consistently, and I'm like, oh my gosh, yeah. That was a pretty awesome feeling to know I did it. I am like there. And that just continued because I'd already set that schedule of my working, and I was so consistent with that just continued to increase. It still has. I've never quit being consistent. Mm-hmm. That continues.
Yeah. So I liked what, I know this particular coach wasn't at the Jeff Hill event, so I want to say this. I know that Erin Young spoke on this topic, which I thought she did a great job talking about it last week. And one of the things that I liked that she said was, that her, a personal goal for her was to build her team cycle bonus to a certain level so that she knew she had a consistent cycle bonus, which I think is a really great point. And, obviously my team that's listening to this, we can talk further about that in detail, but for the most part, I think it goes without saying that you want to be in a secure place. You can't, I know I took a bit of a leap of faith. My goal was to be able to earn as much as I was earning in my full-time job before I left. But I got to a position where I was miserable in my job and it was sucking the life out of me. There was so much negativity around me that I took a little bit of a leap of faith. I jumped before I hit that level. And I'm not saying that's the way to go. Obviously, the way to go is to be financially secure. But I also didn't have a lot of guidance in the, financial department. I didn't have a lot of guidance in knowing even what I didn't even know what team cycle bonus was at that point. So I thought that was great advice from Erin, and I think that's something that we can all learn from too. So, okay, and then along with that, she's asking, what life balance systems did you use while you were working your full-time job? So how did you keep your life in balance while working that full-time job? Did you, like you've already mentioned, was it just family time in the evening?
Yeah, I did not want to take from my family. So I would do my stuff in the morning before I got my kids up, and then I was done. Mm-hmm. Obviously, then I had to go to work. Yeah. And same now. Now that I do have, days that I do have my little guy with me, I'm not saying I don't do things, while he's here, but whenever I am, I totally airplane mode my phone and I'm done. Mm-hmm. So it's really funny because I listened to, on Periscope, I listened to Michelle Myers, and it was like so funny because we all talk about this, that you have to definitely have your priorities definitely in check for sure. And, my family is my number one, but this business definitely can suck you in because you love it and you love helping people. And I could talk to people all day long. I could do it all day long. It would not bother me in least to do it all day long. But if you have a family, you have to remember, if that's your number one priority, you've got to schedule your time and you've got to stick to it. That's just, it's got to happen. Because if you let yourself, you can get like that. Yeah. And I did. I was guilty. I did.
Yeah, absolutely. But I think it's also, I've told my team this before, that I have like Friday nights, my phone gets turned off and Chris and I go out to dinner and we have our own night on Friday nights, and Sundays is usually I get my work done for maybe an hour on Sunday and then the rest of the day I'm off. Right. So it is, scheduling, I guess, your balance, like making sure that you're staying balanced, but then also knowing that you have seasons. I think you kind of alluded to something that's important when you said that like your husband was on board, he knew what you were striving for. And so working sometimes late at night was how you had to make it happen. It was how you were able to make a trade-off so that you could now be in the luxury of sitting on your own floor right now doing this webinar, right? So, yeah, that's good. Okay, so then I have another question for one of my leaders as well, who says, people always say connect to your coaches and help them achieve their goals. What are you actually talking about when you do reach out to them?
I have to know what they want. I can't want it for them. You can't want things because it's going to benefit you either. Mm-hmm. That's, I think, is a big thing, with coaches. You definitely have to know where they're at, because not everybody is at that point where they're ready to push. But as soon as a coach tells me, when I put out things, we're doing a push to diamond group or something, and they come to me and say they're ready, then I definitely talk to them to make sure what that means, that you're really truly in and those are your goals. So I guess as a leader, you have to know what your coach's goals are all the time, what they're willing to put in to reach that goal, and just be there to definitely help them get there, the steps to get there for sure. Am I echoing?
No.
Okay. I think so. I'm echoing.
No, I can hear you. Okay.
Okay.
So yeah.
Did that answer that question? I don't even know.
I think so. Yeah. I think the first thing that's important is what you said. It's knowing what your coach's goals are, and and making sure that they're not just your goals. So like, we all want to be, multi-star diamond coaches, but if we don't have the players, then it might not be a possibility. So I like the way you worded that. What would be your advice be to, let's say, diamond coaches striving for star diamond? What would be your advice to those types of leaders for moving forward, like getting themselves to that place?
Definitely, you have to have a plan. I mean, as you're bringing in coaches onto your team and you're going through those steps, you've got to know what they're coming into the business for. So if you see somebody, you know, that's coming in and they're already telling you they want this, this, and this, and they're wanting emerald, I grab their hand and I pull them along with me. Because, you know, if they're right off the bat wanting to do those things, then, you know, don't hold off on them. Help them do it as quick as possible. Because those are the people that are going to definitely start building. And those are going to be your builders. Those are going to be your diamonds. And then just teach them to duplicate it. You know, they got to do the same thing. I was listening to somebody the other day talking about, you know, just to make it easier, you know, to say, okay, get your emerald, get your 2 coaches. I don't really know where we heard this. And then she was like, now just do it again. Get 2 more.
Right.
Now just do it again. Instead of making it so big and be like, oh, you got to have 8 coaches and 2 emeralds, you know, just break it down and make it easy to be like, okay, now just hit emerald again. You just need 2 more.
Right.
And I'm like, yeah, that's like, just make it simple.
Right. Keep it simple. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I like that. I know I've said before that I sat at diamond and then 1-star diamond with Chris as my diamond forever. Yeah. And I finally, my aha moment was, okay, I'm not going to go any further unless I get people to buy into my leadership.
Right.
And so for me, it was a matter of maybe, you know, working a little bit less on my own challenge groups and a little bit more on, you know, one-on-one with my coaches that wanted it. And would you agree that, I mean, I feel like I probably do, and I know Erin Young has told me too, in private conversation, that she does a lot of one-on-one, and I feel like I do a lot of one-on-one as well. Would you agree to that?
I do.
Yeah. Okay, so just a couple more questions, and these are a little more big questions, but I always like to ask this because I'm a personal development junkie, and so I always have to ask, like, what are you reading right now? Like, what are you reading and what are you listening to?
Well, I am actually doing, his name is Coit Cooper, so you guys need to look him up. It's Coyote Cooper. And he talked at our retreat. He's actually one of my coach's husbands, but he is like personal development, and he understands Beachbody because obviously he's watched his wife, you know, her transform. Not so much a physical transformation, but she has definitely changed as a person so much. And so he like loves Beachbody because he has seen her change so much. So he totally gets it. So he has a book called Impressions that we're following, and we actually just started today, but we have like 100 coaches in this group that he is running for us. And my husband's already done it. And just to see the little things he was doing while he was doing it, I was just kind of watching, and I didn't really buy into it yet to do it. But after listening to him speak to us, I could have listened to him for 5 hours. I mean, he was awesome. He was so awesome. But he has tons of videos. His like page is awesome. Great stuff. He does videos all the time. So I'm definitely doing his right now. And I'm also just finished up the Miracle Morning. Yeah.
Are you a morning person?
I don't really, I am, but I just needed more of like focus. Like I needed steps. Sure. Do this, then do this, then do this. You know, I needed that. Oh, sorry, we have a visitor.
Oh.
Come here. Come on, hurry. You got food all over your face. Sorry. So I just finished that. I loved, and the last one that I listened to on vacation was Darren Hardy's Entrepreneur Roller Coaster.
Yeah, that's a great one.
That's a great one.
That's a great one.
Yeah, like I need to listen to that one again. So yeah, those are my last 3 that what I've been doing right here recently. So
awesome. Well, that's great. And I'd never heard of him until you posted that about him in the Market Council.
Yeah.
I'm excited to dig into him a little bit more.
Yeah.
So very cool. Okay. And last but not least, because I know you have your hands full, where is Jayme Thompson headed? Like, what are your goals for 2015 and 2016?
Scary. I have to say it out loud. That's scary.
Yeah. You know I'm going to.
I'm pushing for 15 right now.
15 in 15? Yep. Yeah, that's awesome.
They're there. We're just
working there.
Getting the rest, yeah,
That's
we're there. So
That's
yeah,
awesome.
that's scary. I just said it out loud.
Yeah. Well, we got to say it out loud for it to mean it. It's like you got to post your workout on Facebook or it didn't happen. It's like,
Exactly.
like say your goal out loud or it doesn't happen, right?
So true.
That's
So
awesome.
true.
Well, we're so grateful for you spending your time with us. And I know that I have a lot of coaches that follow your Facebook. By the way, I'm assuming, do you have a website or should I just have them follow your Facebook page to watch your awesome?
Oh, yeah, either one. My like page is Jayme Thompson Health and Fitness.
Okay.
And my profile page, you can follow that page too. It's Jayme Jeffers Thompson.
Yes, and it's Jayme.
Yeah.
It's different spelling, so.
I know.
Awesome. Well, lady, I'm so thankful for you, and I'm so glad our paths have crossed.
Yes.
Excited
Me too.
I'm excited to just keep working together and to watch you hit 15 and 15. So thanks so much for taking the time out for our team. I appreciate it, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thank you. And you're awesome.
Thanks. We'll see ya.
Okay. See ya.